Hello, everyone. Welcome to the REDX podcast, the show where we explore the latest strategies, scripts, tools, and insights to supercharge your real estate business. My name is Andrew, and today we are doing something just a little bit different than most weeks. You'll notice I don't have a guest with me here live right now, but I have something amazing prepared that I think you're going to love. Last week, we had an exclusive social media coaching session with the #1 followed real estate agent on TikTok. His name is Zachary Foust. He's been on the podcast before. You might know him as Zach Loft on TikTok, on Instagram, on social media. Well, that coaching session went so well that we decided to take kind of the main meat of that, some highlights from that coaching session, and broadcast those live for today's podcast. Zach was generous enough to let us share some of that exclusive coaching with you today. So I'm just going to go ahead and play that. He's going to go over so many amazing things, how to create content that's compelling and engaging on TikTok and Instagram and social media, and some strategies that will help you build your brand and build your audience and ultimately close more deals through social media. Zach closes I think somewhere upwards of 90% of his deals on through social media, through DMs, through things like that. So amazing content, an amazing presentation. Again, an exclusive coaching. He was generous enough to share with us. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. I will be here in the background. So if you have any questions or comments, please chime in. Let us know where you're from. And as always, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe where you listen to podcasts, and tune in every week for our latest episode. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and play this amazing social media training with Zach Loft.
Of what you should be expecting to walk away with and how we're going to format this. Because quite honestly, what I'd like to do, I'd love to connect with you all on the level of your marketing operations and how you're kind of currently running the content side of your business. That's mainly what I do. Now, a little background on myself. I got out of the military, jumped into being a Department of Corrections correctional officer because I have the personality of a prison guard. But the main thing I would get in trouble for there was talking to the inmates a ton because I loved the conversation, but it didn't last long until I got told or more bullied into being a real estate agent. And now over the last 6.5 years, we built the #1 Google review team in the entire state of Delaware. It is a small state, but it's still a pretty cool achievement. Veteran owned and operated, brought my dad in on the business now 2.5 years ago. He's a veteran as well. And now we have a team of 16 and we are running really our full operation on the back of content. And I'll tell you the 3 places right now that our content is getting the most bang for its buck. I'd really love to start there because that's a big question. You know, you get the best content in the world. Where does it go? Right. So the 3 places, I'm getting my notes out so I don't forget anything. So we are going to go over a lot. If you don't have notes in front of you, now's a really good opportunity to grab something, because you're not going to be able to remember everything. I always tell myself I can remember everything and don't write it down. And then I go eat and I come back. I'm like, wait, I lost everything. So 3 main places right now, we're getting the most bang for our buck. You're going to love these. Ready? Facebook Reels is getting our most organic push right now. If you're unfamiliar with Reels, Reels is short form, vertical video. All right. And Facebook Reels is basically adaptation of Instagram's Reels. It's the same product. And that's the copy and paste of TikTok. So Facebook Reels right now is an amazing place to get more push. The 2 other places it's working the best for us, email. Some of you are like, wait, we still use that? That's crazy. And promotional material, ads. All right. We're getting so much movement there. And the ad section, for those of you that have a budget toward ads and are current, I love that, John. We do it too. There should be a replay of this, Eileen. If there's not, there needs to be. With email, it's so imperative to have a cadence. All right. You shouldn't be sending out every single short form video you ever make in your life on email, but the ones that are actually bringing value to your clientele and you think they need to see, have a cadence to putting those out. So teaching how to do that, how to keep a user's attention and how to get the right person's attention. And also content that's training our editing staff, because we actually have just hired this morning our 9th virtual assistant. I am just in love with it. It's my favorite. There's some of my favorite people. Some of my most valued now family members on our team are our virtual assistants. So love that. If you're in that realm, not going to talk about that today, connect with me. And that's the last point I'll get into before we start going into really the nitty gritty of things, which starting off, I'm going to go through a little bit of how we got to this system is, let me pull this up real quick. Perfect. Didn't want to lose that. I'm going to be going through the 7 deadly skills that I'd like you to have. And I'd like you to write that down somewhere so you know, because I'm going to be talking about them throughout. All right. So 7 deadly, you can mark it out 1 through 7, whatever you want to do. And I want to tell you the biggest mistake I made in my life as a content creator. So I've eclipsed over 1.5 million followers now, 1.6, I think it is, on TikTok. And we've been able to grow all of our business from different social media platforms and mixed in with social proof. Hence, I mentioned those Google reviews earlier. It's very strategic. They can see you somewhere. They're always still going to Google you. We've been able to close this year. We're going to close over 150 deals simply from social media, which is more than 80% of our business. That's dumb. So with that being said, we didn't start there. In fact, it took me well past, and this is going to be and I want you to hear this because anybody who's sitting here, I was going to say that, at Zachary Loft on Instagram or TikTok, would love to connect with all of you. And I promise you, if you're going through this right now and you post content, follow me on TikTok. We'll follow you back. And I would love to engage with your content. All right. I love being able to be around the realtor sphere. And then Zachary Loft, please don't ever DM me on TikTok. It's the worst. If you want to connect, you want to chat, let's DM on Instagram. And I'm a voice video texter. So you can text me with text, but you're going to probably get a voice or a video message back. All right. So that's where we can connect. Great question. I appreciate that, Rick. So hear me on this because I get so many people. They're like, Zach, I don't have anyone following me. I don't have anyone watching me. Who's going to buy a home with me, sell a home with me, rent a home with me, invest with me, whatever you're doing, write a loan with me, if I don't have a following? And I had to get well past 1 million views. I'm sorry, 1 million followers until I finally figured out the right way to do it. Let that sink in. I had to figure out how to get 1 million people to jump on and say, I want to see more of you, dude. To figure out how to do it right. This is really hard. Look at me. If I get your eyes real quick, this is not what you signed up for. You signed up to sell homes, to represent clients, to be a matchmaker. Or as some people love to say on their interview with us, I just like looking at homes and HGTV's fun. Those people don't usually get a second interview, but that could be it. You didn't sign up more than likely to be a content creator. And it's hard. It's tough. And it can be done 1 million wrong ways. And I promise you, there are realtors that you watch on these different social media platforms that you look up to and are thinking, man, I wish I could do it on their level. And they're making the same exact mistakes I was making. I watch it all the time. And I want you to write this down because it's actually the first deadly sin is I developed a skill set that opened my eyes called conscious consumption. Conscious consumption. And what I say here is watching content with your eyes actually open. Hear me. With your eyes actually open. How many of us, or at least watch it, if not actually doing it ourselves, have witnessed just the death scroll, just going. I mean, I think TikTok at some point is like, dude, do you need a break? You know, like there is no bottom. You'll keep going on all platforms, right? So are we watching content to enjoy it and consume it kind of mindlessly? Or are we consciously consuming it as if we're creators? Think about that. Have you ever watched a video? Let's pick anything that has a page. Most all apps do. Have you ever stopped watched something for 20 seconds and then thought to yourself, wait, why did I stop? What made my thumb go from this to this? What made my brain slow down for even 20 seconds to give this person my attention? There's thousands of videos, millions of videos being made every single moment. What made this one stand out to me? And it brought value to me. I love that one, John. But I'll go a few levels simpler. What if it was a sound? What if it was the first frame that was something crazy that caught your eye? What if it was a phrase? What if it was the way a question was posed to you? What if it was the way the lighting shifted? All I'm saying is, have you ever stopped and asked? Your brain's the one that told you to stop, so it probably knows why too. And that information is very valuable when we're creators, because if you don't know what the creator's habits are or the consumer's habits are, how are you supposed to create for them? If you don't know what you're looking for, well, how the hell are you supposed to know what they're looking for? Right? And that goes right into the second skill that I want to move into, which is empathetic viewership. So there's a second level to conscious consumption is we can't just consume it and think, man, I love the way that this happened and that actually brought my attention here. That's all good information, but hear me out. If we're not asking those questions with an empathetic viewpoint, such as from the standpoint of who's watching you, I'll say that again, from the standpoint of who's watching you. A lot of us like to ask these questions from our own standpoint, from our own position as realtors, as home salesmen, as whatever it is, maybe not even the traditional consumer on that platform. So answering it from our own perspective is not probably the right perspective to answer it from. And we have to have empathetic viewership to put ourselves in the shoes of somebody who just watched 17 viral videos within 5 minutes. All right. Somebody who jumped on an app to be entertained, not to hear your market pitch. Right. And I love to go over these skill sets first because, guys, this machine I'm going to give you, hear me, is going to put a megaphone to you, is going to give you a voice. And I promise you, I spent time telling people how to do this without fixing their voice. And all a megaphone does to a bad voice is make it worse. So you have to be pumping out the right content for the right people, or else this system is just going to make things expensive and worse. All right. You want to get your value out of it. You want closings to come from it. You have to have content that works. All right. Number 3, we have to have impactful storytelling. There has to be impactful storytelling. If you want to go onto my TikTok page, you'll see plenty of it where I am telling a story. And the biggest mistake that I made when I got to 1.1 million followers, which was December of 2021, moving into January of 2022, was that I was telling great stories that were evolving. They didn't start good. It was my niche that I lulled into. I fell in love with speakers like Simon Sinek and John Maxwell, and I just started to really fall in love with communicating. And TikTok was like my canvas. I got on in April of 2019. You think it's new now? Man, people, I heard I was on TikTok. They're like, where the kids dance? I'm like, no, it's not like that. I promise. Like, people were like, why are you sell homes on TikTok? I'm like, not yet. But I was telling a story that was ever evolving and ever getting better, but I was telling it, to Andrew's point, to the wrong audience. See, I was telling a good story and I was grabbing people's attention. But the problem is we don't want to grab everyone's attention, do we? No. So all I did was develop a skill. Now, the mistake I made was I didn't hyper niche from the beginning that storytelling. Now, here's what people go to in their brains in real estate. Give me your eyes when I say hyper niche. Oh yeah, talk to buyers and sellers. No. You need to be hyper niche. And hear me on this, because if it hits, you can hang up now. If you already make content and this hits, you can hang up now. If you are gaining people's attention just for the sake of it, it doesn't matter. But when you're grabbing their attention within the niche of their interest, you have power. So you're not targeting home buyer or homeowners in North Dakota. I'm making topics that the North Dakota homeowner may be interested in. I'm doing content that's debates on local area lore, polarizing topics, overrated, underrated. Our president happens to currently be from Delaware, so we happen to do a video on that. That one got a lot of tread. And I'll tell you the level it's gotten to. I went to a Drake concert 2 days ago. If anyone's familiar with Drake, it's kind of my Michael Jackson. I also love and adore Michael Jackson. I probably listen to him way more than Drake. So just for reference, I respect both, but I got to go to a concert. I happened to meet a person who was within his team that knew me and my friend from TikTok, knew that specific video, started following me a month ago, brought me backstage. Ended up front row. Could have slapped my second favorite artist, 21 Savage, on the chest if I wanted to. Now, does that sell a home? No, sure doesn't. But it did put me right next to the guy who runs the social media for the Wells Fargo Center. And I connected with him. And we had a great time. And then he told me where Lil Yachty was coming on. I got to dab him up. And so these connections start building, is what I'm saying, right? From recognition. And did what I just referenced make any money? No. That's one reference point, but it shows the power of that leverage point, right? That's not something a lot of people get to do. So if it's something as simple as getting them to walk through your home because they think you're that cool, they'll do it. Just going to prove that point. And that comes from hyper niche content. And then at point 6, I'll tell you how to get it in front of the hyper niche audience. But you can go ahead and start connecting the dots by what is that hyper niche thing you're doing? What is the hyper niche audience you want? And what are the interests of them that you can talk about over here? Make those connections. All right. So let's keep moving. We only have 90 minutes. We have a lot to move through. Hope you have notes. If you got questions, please write them down. I love normally saying unmute, yell at me, tell me to stop, but let's keep the momentum moving because we still got people joining in. Love the recordings going out. Number 5. All right. Or number 4. For those keeping notes, they're like, wait, where's number 4? Number 4. All right. The ghost method. Now I shifted this. Big time. It used to be the thirst method, which was title, hook, reframe, interest, storytell, target. Now the ghost method, because things have shifted a bit in social media. And I wanted to add one reference. So G stands for grab. H stands for hook. O stands for overview. S stands for storytell, go figure. And T stands for targeted. I'm going to go through each of these and finish them for you. So grab, hook, overview, storytell, target, or targeted, I should say. Now for G, it's grab. Everyone good? All good? Grab the consumer. Not grab attention, grab the consumer. All right. And we do this. I'll give an example. If you service a specific area, I want you to talk about, I'll give an example. I live in Delaware. Not any of you probably know a lick about Delaware. If you do, it's probably that we got nice beaches, maybe that we have no sales tax, or that we're small and you might not know where the hell we are. Could be any of the above. But to people in Delaware, Delaware's the shit. And if it's not, it's horrible, which makes for great debate topics. And so we target hyper niche shit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse. Stuff. Like the sausage house on Route 13. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Nope. But the person who drives by it to commute to work every single day does. And they want to hear what we have to say about it. Keep that stuff in mind. And please reference our pages. I'm talking about stuff we're doing. Everything I'm telling you today is just what I do, what our team operates on. I'm not writing out something to then go do something completely different and gatekeep. This is what we're doing. So please reference where we're posting our content and start taking notes. Answer your own questions. Hit me up. Hey, you posted a video, did that. Did you do that on purpose? The farmer's market. Yes, exactly. We just did one. It's called Spence's Bazaar. But if I set, here's the thing. Perfect example, Renee. Let's go one level deeper together. Let me get your eyes. I could say the farmer's market in Springfield, or I could say Spence's Bazaar. You don't know what the hell Spence's Bazaar is. Algorithmically, you just got out. But anyone who's from Dover or used to live in Delaware knows that farmer's market is called Spence's Bazaar. So use your local knowledge. You're the local expert. Talking about the local shit with the local people makes sense for your niche. I'm giving you guys hacks, guys. No one else is doing this stuff. Everyone else is still making interest rate videos. All right. And there's good nicks in there. There's good nicks. Don't worry. Mix it in. But after the 80th one, it's like, okay, Susan. All right. So I hope there's not a Susan in here. I just said the name Susan. All right. Let's go through number 8 or letter H. Hook, attention. All right. I did have hooking attention much more important. But what moved ahead was grabbing the right consumer, because you can hook anybody. If I say, hey, it's at second 30, I'm going to rip all my hair off. There's going to be a lot of people who stay to second 30. Does that mean I'm going to sell a home? No. It's not hard to get attention. I can make a thumbnail that says something egregious. It's called clickbait. It's not difficult. We got to grab the right consumer, and then we hook attention. And the way we hook attention is by being intriguing, entertaining, educating, something. And in order, and hear me out, if you want to write this down, I would highly suggest it. It's one that we run off a lot, is if you know the consumer's intention and their interest, you can get their attention. So you can make it like a formula. Intention plus interest equals attention. If you know what they're interested in, which we just talked about, that's a must in the ingredient formula. Yes, absolutely. Interest plus intention equals attention. I actually like it when I say it that way because of the inflection. But yeah, perfect. So if we know what they're interested in, which we already said, like local niche could be an easy one. Or, you know, the local high schools, if you're like at like North Texas, I'd be making stuff about football all the daggone time. If I'm from Indiana, I'd be making high school basketball content all the time. Like you have to base it off your niche. But if I know their interest and I know their intention, that's big. That's big. Because if I also know their intention, I can format the content to get their attention. It's not one without the other. I can get attention easily. You all can. You can go out on the corner and scream. Someone's going to look at you. Does that mean you sold a home? No. You have to have those two to get the proper attention. So interest plus intention equals attention. And if we know they're on TikTok to get entertained, what should we focus short form content in or around? Entertainment. So I like to sing karaoke and eat pizza. Dude, do it. I'm not, and here's the thing, and I get this all the time. People are like, well, should I post 80% of the time like that? And then 20% I should post a market update? No. 80-20. Has anyone heard the 80-20 concept? Not the 80-20 rule. I know that's a whole different thing. The 80-20 concept, like 80% of your content should be personal branding, 20% of your content should be business branding. Raise your hand if you've heard that. Don't just give me a nod. And if you're on a black camera, cool. I see like 7 or 8 hands. It's a pretty common one. Can I give you the actual way it's supposed to be said? Ready? All of your content, 100% of it, 80% of it should showcase who you are, and 20% should showcase what you do. All of it. All of it. Not 80-20. All of it should focus on who you are with a slice of what you do. Perfect example. I could be making a video, hand up, talking about exactly what I'm doing. You may be wondering why I'm out here in the 90 degrees, sweating my head off with a bunch of flyers in my hand. Well, it's as much fun as it looks, but I'm actually door knocking because I wanted to let this neighborhood know how much their home has gone up in the last, that's a stupid example I just made up. It's so easy though. You just have to start thinking of it that way. Stop thinking of it as one side of the coin or the other. It is both. It has always been both. All the best marketing in the world is both. You want to watch, and then you're like, hey, I want that. We all like to say we've never been sold on an ad. Yes, you have. It's just the ones you watched, you liked. So you didn't view it as an ad. All right. Let's go through the ghost method. We're taking a ton of time. Okay, cool. We still got till 6:30. Let's go through overview. Overview the subject. Overview the subject. Niche it. I see way too much content that is talking about too much. Focus on the subject at hand. If you're talking about interest rates, don't talk about the inventory. If you're talking about the inventory, don't talk about someone's birthday. If you talk, just focus. Focus the content. We'll get into editing techniques when I show the SOP on how we're training our video editors and how REDX's system actually has one. And obviously I've used that too, the story builder platform. Cutting out and how to train the editors on what to do when is a whole nother science. And like I said, I'll show you that document because we could spend another 3 hours talking that. But how you're making it is everything. So talk with intention. Don't just blame the editor when you get shitty content. If I give an artist shitty paint, I'm going to get a shitty product. So make sure you're giving them the best you can. Going in the storytell, again, the point. Now, let me be clear about this. This is not a redundancy, all right? This is not a redundancy from overview the subject. Storytell the point. For example, I told a story on TikTok around closing cost assistance. Who has made a viral video about closing cost assistance? Me, because I told a story about COVID and how everyone was locked in and locked up. And all of a sudden people were losing their jobs and couldn't go to work. And so they were like, hey, let's print money. They need money. And then all of a sudden inflation started and now home prices go up. And then they're like, hey, let's raise the Fed rate to counteract this. And now interest rates are up. And hey, that's why the housing market's doing what it's doing. And I story told a point around the housing market and then leaked it into, because the housing market's tight right now, seller could be blah, blah, blah. I said I told that around closing cost assistance. I told that around housing update. The one I told around closing assistance, I started off with, I asked my buyers to overpay for this house. And that was my hook. And then I started over, and then it worked into the point where if we overpaid by $8,000, we could get $15,000 in closing assistance, and it worked out for the client. But that was a story on how to illustrate closing cost assistance. Story tell the point. Don't just say it. You're smart. You are. I'll pat you on the back right now. You're really smart. You know more than 99% of the consumers in your area about real estate and the local housing, but tell it to them as if they're in 8th grade. Because people who, seriously, don't take that as diminishing. Anyone who is not an expert. It's not their day-to-day to learn about that subject, on average, is at an 8th grade level in that subject. Ever tried to speak Spanish again since high school? Bet you and an 8th grader are going to look real similar. Maybe worse. I know I might be worse. I wasn't a good 8th grader, so I wasn't a good comparison. All right. So you have to simplify it. And what way have we conveyed information for decades and centuries and eons to children all the way up to people on their deathbed? Stories. And yes, it requires a skill set, but that's the reason people do well and people don't. And again, target engagement. That is our last one. And then we're going to get more into the 7 deadlies. Target engagement, which means do not ask them to follow you. Do not say you want them to do anything at all. You want to encourage engagement via giving them something to talk about. Don't tell them what to say. Give them something to say. For example, mispronounce a word. Bonus points if it's something that's really popular in your area that people get mad at you about. I put up 320 gang in my hashtags. I got 6 comments that said 302, dummy. I know my area code, but I got more engagement. You may think, well, that's not good engagement. Yeah, but TikTok doesn't read mean or nice. It just reads, hey, people are talking in the comments. We should show this to 200 more people. So there's a pro and a con to all that, and then getting it in front of the localized audiences. But is everyone tracking so far? Can I get a thumbs up on the screen real fast? We're all tracking this. If you're not on camera, I'm half and half with you. I don't know. All the people on camera are vibing. I love Penny's backdrop, the sold sign in the back. Get me something in the comments, just a thumbs up. Yes. Somebody's Yvonne, I don't know what's going up on there. Is that your thumb? I love it. Got you. Perfect. It was like right up on the screen. It was it looked like something crazy. Perfect. All right. So let's round back. We stopped at the ghost method number 4 in the 7 deadly sins, and we're going to actually slow down from there and move over into content creation. I don't like to just move down list. I like to keep us moving around, keep us engaged. So what I want to talk about with this are the 3 types of content we're putting into this machine. All right. We're aiming for 3 different items. We're aiming to either A, we already talked about it, entertain. And it's not an either, it's an and. Ultimately, you'll want 2 of these 3 in every piece of content. 2, looking to get them engaged. Something that's formatted around engagement. This, for an example, could be a fun video at the beginning. Like, I'm not going to tell you what this home is worth. What I am going to do is I'm going to sprint through it, and then you're going to comment what you think it's worth, and the winner gets $5 on Venmo. Go. TikTok video. They'll love that. Post that everywhere. People engage. Engagement. Number 3, enraged. Entertained, engaged, or enraged. And when I say enraged, I say it tongue in cheek. But give something that's polarizing, give something comment worthy, give something that's worth talking about. And so that's a summary of them: entertained, engaged, or enraged. We want a solid hook. We want to have fast edits. We want to have quick this and that to keep them entertained, keep them locked in. We want to talk about things within our community, within the niche, within the interest that's actually going to get them engaged in the comments, and then talk about things that are maybe a little bit debatable. It doesn't have to be something crazy. You don't have to like debate like politics. Like, don't do that. That's dumb. But you could say something simple like overrated, underrated, our governor. Overrated. And then don't give an answer as to why. Let the comments do it for you. Like, I promise you, it's not that hard if you start thinking about it differently. We're watching so many people do it the wrong way. You're a local influence, not an influencer. Not these influencers running around, blah, blah, blah. Really. You're a local influencer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that excerpt from an amazing presentation we got from Zach Loft just last week. Please take these principles. I hope you took notes. I hope you were writing those down, because they are invaluable. They are things that Zach actually did to build his brand, build his presence. And he now closes the vast majority of his deals through social media, through DMs, through this amazing content that he puts out. And that is what helped him get 1.6 million followers on TikTok. So please review this episode, come back and listen to it again, boost your social media presence, and tune in next week. Every Thursday at 1:30 Mountain Time. We're going to have an amazing guest with us next week. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, and we will see you next week. Thank you all so much for joining us.